What's up, everyone? You're listening to WKNC 88.1 FM HD1 Raleigh. We're a student-run nonprofit radio station based out of North Carolina State University. I'm DJ Lucid, and this is Off the Record. Here with me today are the extremely talented members of the four-piece band, Good Deal. Welcome, you guys.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. I can start. I'm Cliff Johnson. I'm the lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist and primarily the songwriter for the group. Grew up in Smithfield, based in Raleigh.
I'm Andrew Barsotti. I play lead guitar, and I do most of our social media stuff.
I'm William Ashley, and I'm the drummer.
I'm Brian Miller. People just call me Miller, and I play bass and backup vocals, and I don't do any admin stuff for the band. I stay away from it, actually.
So you all are coming from Raleigh today. How long have you guys lived here in Raleigh?
I've kind of bounced around the triangle a little bit. I lived in Cary a few years, but I've been in Raleigh recently for like the last 2 to 3 years or so. And then before that, I actually went to NC State. So I was here for 4 years.
Oh, wow. Welcome back.
Yeah, good to be back. Last time I was here, I think it was for like an intro class downstairs.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, for sure.
I've been in Raleigh for the last 7 years, so here for a little bit.
I've been in the Triangle about 3 years, but born and raised about 45 minutes down the road in Smithfield.
I'm actually the only one not from North Carolina. I'm from Maryland originally. I moved here, back in 2018, and then I moved to South Carolina in 2019 to help open up a coffee shop, and then moved back in 2022. So it's good to be back.
Yeah.
I like Raleigh.
Well, we at WKNC appreciate you guys being with us here today. My favorite question to ask when meeting bands is, what does Good Deal actually mean? Like, can you guys give us the backstory behind your name?
I think we can, yeah. And I think most bands go through this where they kind of struggle coming up with like, what do we want to be called? And so there were a lot of like storyboarding and
So
some
Wait,
bad
what
ones.
was the first one that we decided to come up with? It was
Wades.
like the Wades.
The
or
Wades,
something
yeah.
like
That
that,
was based off of my middle name. That was, super
Original
original. But actually, what Good Deal means is it was kind of something inspired by one of my uncles that he always says Good Deal. And I kind of thought of it as like something to say when you don't really know what else to say, but it's something positive. And that's kind of like the meaning behind it.
Like a good little catchphrase, just like,
Yeah.
good deal. And the amount of people who end up saying that like at the end of a sentence, or like you're like, it's a reaffirming statement. It
I love
markets
that.
itself.
Yeah,
That's like a fun story behind it, and it is like connected to you guys.
it is. Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what we wanted. A lot of the ideas we had were kind of like disconnected. So it was good to find something that felt simple and comfortable.
Okay, so you guys have been working together for over a year now, is that right?
Yep.
And how did you guys meet and decide to come together as a band?
I can kind of speak on that. So we've some of us have kind of played in the Raleigh, like played around the Raleigh music scene for several years. Before that, a couple of us were in different projects before, and myself included. And I had started wanting to write music and kind of get back out there. This was like towards the end of the pandemic. And so I was kind of on my own, just like, playing guitar and writing the lyrics here and there, taking a stab at it. And just through another friend of mine, introduced me to Andrew, the lead guitarist, and was like, I have a buddy who, would like to start playing music again, maybe get a band together. And I was like, all right, great. So Andrew and I got together and kind of just started bouncing ideas off each other. We're like, yeah, this is working. We could probably do this. And, we're having fun with it. So we're like, well, I guess we need to find a couple other people. And so that's kind of where William and Miller come into the picture. Miller's a friend of Andrew's that he knew before we got together. And then William, I grew up with in Smithfield. And we had played together before, kind of different like cover sets and just kind of in his parents' house in Smithfield. So we kind of grew up learning to play guitar with him a little bit. And so we all, we brought them on board and started playing the songs together. So that's and that was around I think Andrew and I got together in
like
about
March or April of 2020.
2022, yeah. So a little, almost 2 years
Yeah.
ago.
I remember. Yeah, no. I remember when I moved into town, and Andrew was like, "We got to play music together. We gotta do this." Like, Andrew's always wanted to, he's always wanted to play music with me, and I've always been the flaky one. And I was just like, you know what, this time we'll give it a go. Like, why not, right? I've got nothing else better to do. So, yeah, that's how I met Cliff and William back in probably like September. I met Cliff in September, and then I didn't meet you until later.
Yeah,
we all started actually playing together in like October.
This is when we got to the shed.
Yeah. The good old shed.
Yep.
I love the shed.
Yeah, all four of us kind of didn't really have any space where we lived to practice at the time, so we kind of had to outsource a little bit. So we found a friend of a friend that
or a friend of mine.
Yeah. Oh, a friend of that that had some space for us. So we've been practicing there. And yeah, that was all four of us together started in October of 22. And then we had our first show at King's past April in 2023. And then been playing shows out and about since then.
I can't believe it. It feels like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Time isn't real.
Yeah, so you guys have been collaborating for almost like a couple years, like you said, but a few of you have been friends for even longer. How does that kind of affect your writing process, the relationship that you guys have?
I would say it probably doesn't affect it too much, actually, just because I've kind of been the one to do most of the lyrical writing, and then I have some ideas for how the song would sound, mostly starting from just me with an acoustic guitar and then kind of translating into ideas on electric guitar. And so it's kind of just been, they've really been just like open. I think that's the biggest, how it's affected is like all being friends and respecting each other. It kind of leaves a sense of openness there for us to take advantage of, to where when we get together and kind of get these ideas out in the air, they kind of approach it with like an openness, and allows for a level of vulnerability that allows us to have fun with it. So it's been that first stretch of us kind of getting together and like collaborating on the songs was a super special time for me, just to kind of have an idea, have somebody to share it with, and then kind of create something out of it together. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I think like one of the other big things too is like not being afraid to like pitch an idea. And I think when you get a band together that aren't really like primarily wouldn't hang out together outside of a band, then that kind of falls apart. In my experience, it falls apart. If I don't like you, like I'm not gonna like pitch an idea for like, oh, this is a sick bass line, or this is a cool guitar riff, or like, oh, you would sound better if you did this. Like, I think it's just a better way to be in a band is to be homies first and then build off of that.
It also makes traveling easier too.
It does make traveling easier.
For sure.
I think too, once you get beyond the writing as well, just practicing, and like Miller brought up, giving ideas. Like when you know someone a lot longer, and then especially Cliff and I, and then even as we've played over the past year, I feel like Miller, Andrew, and all of us have kind of grown, and we kind of, in the practice setting or idea setting, we can kind of fill each other out easier or kind of read each other's minds sometimes.
Yeah. We also know how to give each other like feedback too that's constructive, and like, I mean, I think it helps that we are all generally pretty nice guys, so we try to be cognizant of like what we're saying to the other to make sure we're not hurting anybody's feelings or anything. But we want to make sure that we're doing we're servicing the song in the best way too. So like we aren't holding back necessarily in terms of like giving the feedback, but it is always in a very constructive manner that like we are all able to process effectively.
The reason I was laughing at you because I was like, yeah, we're all really nice guys, and I'm just like, sometimes we're not nice to each other in practice, and it's really funny because like afterwards, like I saw, yeah, you want to go like grab a beer or like what do you guys want to go do? Like,
but it's really special to be. A lot of bands are super divided between lyricism and instrumental, and then it comes together, and it just doesn't sound like a collaborative process. But it sounds like from you guys, you all pitch in, and that's really special.
Cliff really knows how to write a good tune. Yeah, I think we all agree that we just want to make sure we're servicing that to the.
I think we're all really good at trial and error.
That as well.
I think it's a lot of the times like either a lot of songwriters will have an idea for a song and they'll hold on to that so tightly, and they'll be like, this is my song, like I want it this way. But then that does like, it kind of it like suffocates it in a way. And Cliff is incredibly gracious with the lyrics that he writes, and he's very open to, well, what if we did it in halftime here and then we speed it up here, or like what if we did it in 5/6, or like what if we did it in 3/4 instead of just like a standard 4/4, and then it just kind of it opens up a realm of possibilities that wouldn't be there if he wasn't nice to us.
Yeah, well, that's something that I have a lot of fun with, like playing around with ideas. Like I said, when we get together and kind of throw an idea out there, I'm super excited about trying that one out, and then kind of coming at it from every angle and seeing how it sounds, tweaking it and just be like, okay, we'll see what happens. So yeah, it's definitely is a good sense of collaboration between all of us.
Yeah, well, you guys also have a really unique sound. It's a little bit of like indie rock, but I can also hear kind of like a southern twist to it, would you say? Maybe it's your voice, but how would you guys describe your sound?
Complicated.
Yeah, it definitely, another thing about kind of like the collaboration and our sound, kind of tying those two in, is that we all kind of have different like tastes in music. Like our tastes kind of expand a pretty wide range. But yeah, it definitely is like kind of lands, or kind of where my like songwriting and the inspiration has come from, has definitely landed in a like an indie rock, alternative country sort of realm.
Like a southern indie rock kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And my accent kind of like, I'm never like intentionally like bringing it out, or, it just kind of like slips out sometimes. It's almost like when you go back to your family, or like extended family, and then all of a sudden an accent comes out, depending on where you're from.
Yeah, so are there any notable influences that you feel kind of affect your music style?
Definitely, I
Grove.
could probably, I was going to say, kind of one of the influences for me is a band Pine Grove that, they're from Montclair, New Jersey, and they have a similar sound, or a sound that I really appreciated, and not even just how they sound, but like the technicality of their music. I really appreciate. It was like they take a lot of different like influences and kind of fuse them together as like prog rock and like alt country, and then indie rock, and so it's a wide variety of sounds like in their discography, and it's something that I appreciated because I kind of grew up started playing piano at an early age, and then played trumpet, and so I was influenced by like orchestral music and jazz music, and then like pop country on the radio, and then more like indie rock as I got older, and then even like psych rock like Ty Segall, and so like kind of finding a path to like blend all these different types of music that I like is pretty cool, and they were kind of an inspiration to do that, to be like, it's it's okay to kind of fuse these things and see what comes out.
So even though you guys have only started performing and releasing music to platforms, you said about a year ago, you said that you grew up playing music. How long have you all been playing music in general?
I've been playing guitar since I was about 10, so for a fair bit of time. I don't want to age myself, but
Do it.
I'm better to
Do it.
But yeah, guitar for a very long time, and it's I've played in a bunch of pop punk bands, I've played in indie rock bands, and so like each style of guitar has always been a little bit different, but this is kind of the first one that this is my first time being like a lead guitar player in the true sense, and it's a lot of fun, and playing with people who take influences from different things too, it makes me have to think about approaching the guitar in a different kind of way. So I feel like I'm learning a lot still too, which is always appreciated. So.
Yeah, I was just trying to think about it, and it's like, man, I got to do some math. I think it's been, me and my older brother played just as little kids. It's probably been close to 20 years.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
The 2004, I think, is kind of when we started messing around.
Yeah, no, I started playing guitar when I was 14. I'm not a bass player. I don't consider myself a decent bass player. I have a lot of friends that are much more talented than I at the bass. But I started playing guitar when I was like 13, 14 to impress a girl. Obviously didn't work out.
Oh.
Yeah, bummer, huge bummer. But yeah.
Gotcha. Geez, well, you guys have made so much progress. I mean, you just came out with a new song about a month ago, right? Or you released it called Worth a Try. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what inspired this specific song?
If I can remember correctly, it was really kind of like the riff of the song.
It was an early one.
It was kind of while it was an early one for sure. When it was mainly just me and Andrew getting together. He had like a middle 4-track recording device, and so we were kind of throwing stuff into Logic just to kind of act as like a sketch pad almost for the music. Yeah. And so I had like a riff, and we kind of like built the song out instrumentally first. And then honestly, like the lyrical side of it was very much just like spur of the moment, just kind of just like random ideas floating, which is kind of nice because some of the other songs are very specific lyrically. So it's nice to kind of have a song with like a lyrical, like almost being like generic in a sense, and more, I guess it can be approachable in more ways than just one. It kind of allows the user. It allows the listener to
interpret the song how they want to interpret it.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to take a short break to play y'all Two Birds by none other than Good Deal, and we'll be right back.
You know how your mind works when it's thinking out loud. The future's an infectious disease. It sinks into others now. It's happening to me. I think I'm gonna find a way. I knew you'd be there somehow for me. In the end, we're just two birds up in a tree. We could stay till all our feathers turn to pretend you know exactly what it means. I'm too scared to look down. And we lay the path for everyone to know. Promise me when you paint the map with no intent to go. I think I'm gonna find a way down. I knew you'd be there somehow for me. In the end, we're just two birds up in the tree. Stay till all our feathers turn to leaves. Don't pretend you know exactly what it means. I'm too scared to look down. Too scared to look down.
You just listened to Two Birds by Good Deal. I love that song. I actually requested it from our guys today, so I'm super happy that you guys got to listen to it too. What would you guys say is the inspiration, or who is the inspiration behind this song?
I think if I can remember correctly, the inspiration mainly like as a whole was probably around this like idea. I kind of really had a setting in mind of it was a memory. William and I used to live together in Cary for a little bit. This was after the pandemic, actually during the pandemic, technically, if you want to. And we would just hang out around the house sometimes, and we would kind of just BS, like we would just kind of talk about places we were going to go, things we would want to do,
Big ideas,
big
dreams,
big ideas and dreams, and just kind of romanticize those types of things as one often does. And I think that's kind of that idea is kind of where the song came from in terms of the inspiration. It was basically about it's like we can dream all we want, like we don't have to do anything about it. So it's kind of in a way like it's like a twofold. It's kind of like bittersweet in a way, because it's like you can find comfort in dreaming about stuff while also like not getting anywhere close to it, and that couldn't be okay. So that's kind of the inspiration of the song lyrically.
Wow, that's my first time actually hearing that.
Yeah,
I'm with you, listeners. I did not know that either.
Well, thank you for that. And now we got to talk about your performances. You guys have a huge EP release coming up this Friday, and then a show this Saturday, January 20th. Why don't you tell us about your show?
Yeah, so we're going to be playing at King's in downtown Raleigh on Saturday. We're going to be performing with a band from Richmond called Holy Roller, who are incredible. And Lauren Moore is going to be opening the show. I think it should be one of her... it's the second time I've seen her, but she's an incredible singer-songwriter, like on the folkier side of things, kind of in line with like Taylor Swift and like Phoebe Bridgers. Mm-hmm. She's going to have a band with her. We're really excited for it. It's our first show headlining, and the last year's been a lot of us performing in Raleigh and performing outside of Raleigh to try and like build a sense of community and hopefully get people interested in like what we're doing and the songs that we have to show. And the big hope is that Saturday is kind of us putting it all out there for everybody, and hopefully, it's received well.
Yeah, well, Raleigh's a pretty musical environment for up-and-coming bands. How would you say that living and performing in Raleigh has changed your music style, or do you feel like in a different environment you would have a different style?
I live with one of my closest friends. His name is Jonas. He's a very well connected into the music scene in Raleigh, and I think for me personally, I can't speak for everybody, but like it's really pushed me to be better. It's not just like I play bass sometimes for Good Deal. It's like it's something that I'm proud to have my name attached to. So it's the music scene being connected and like just going to shows randomly and seeing all of these bands that come through, or like I think that's probably one of the biggest things. All of the bands that are able to come through Raleigh is so cool, because then you can make connections with everybody, and then it's a community really, and it's really, I think it's a very healthy one. And I mean, everybody takes care of their own, and it pushes me to be a better musician and want me to, play more music. So
good answer.
Thank you. Told you guys I was PR trained.
Raleigh's we love Raleigh. It's having been in the area for a while and like seen a bunch of bands come through. Like I think we all we've kind of touched on, we take influences from a bunch of different bands and have come through from different genres and stuff. And we're just really honored to be a part of it, and we hope we're contributing in a good way. I don't think it necessarily has too much of an influence on what we're trying to create, but more so we're just glad that we're being received well, or at least from what we can tell. So,
yeah, I think definitely like part of kind of going back to like us getting started kind of towards the tail end of the pandemic, or at least I remember, sitting, alone, kind of working on music and just, thinking about the possibility of, getting to play music in front of people again. I was definitely like craving that sense of community of like, I have something to share, and there's, other people around that can enjoy it as well. I think, definitely like I started going to shows in the Raleigh area once I was in college. Local band, local beer was a thing. And so, I've, met and become friends with some of the bands that were around at the time and that are still around. And yeah, it's very open and like accepting of people trying to put themselves out there and, kind of share what they have in terms of music. So it's really cool. And it's just such a wide like range of different kinds of music, like each, like there's a hardcore scene, there's an indie scene, there's a country scene, there's folk scene, hip hop, jazz, soul, R&B. Like it really does like span across
Really
so many
something for
genres.
everybody,
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many cool venues too, and it's kind
Yeah.
of I'm with Miller on it kind of motivates you to be better. Because I remember, seeing some of my favorite bands at these places, and then to be up on that stage playing where I've seen them play, it's really cool.
We've also played a lot of really cool shows, and that I think it just helps contribute to the overall being a part of it. Like Andrew said, is just something that I think is super sick.
Yeah, touching on that, can you tell us about your first performance as a band?
Oh man.
Show.
Our first show was also at King's, so Saturday is kind of like a full circle moment for us. But it was awesome because our friends Modern Kind, who are friends of ours from varying avenues, but we asked to open for them. They were going to be doing like a long run of shows up and down the East Coast, and we just got asked to put on, and it honestly was really nerve wracking. We've been working on this thing for several months at this point and trying to craft these songs and make them the way that we want the sound, and hopefully dial in on that. And yeah, you hit a point where it's just going to be however it's going to be. And I think we're lucky in that it went well. We got a lot of really positive feedback. It was a really fun night.
Yeah, I didn't feel super nervous leading up to it. And then kind of like once I got on the stage, I kind of blacked out a little bit, not from like any alcohol or anything. It was just like
Nerves.
Yeah, I kind of it all happened in a blur, and I remember singing and playing and having a good time.
I remember asking you after the show. I was like, "Yeah, what do you think? Like, how'd it go?" And you're like, "Honestly, kind of blacked out there." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well, okay."
But it was definitely a positive experience, and definitely it gave us a lot of momentum to, I think, especially for me, is kind of having, bringing these ideas to them and kind of almost having to sell them a little bit in some ways, be like, we should let's try and get this to work. I think that first show was kind of a milestone for us. For everyone was kind of like, this can work. Like this actually, we can do this. So it was definitely a positive step forward.
Do you guys tend to take any band rituals before your performances?
I have one. I don't know about you guys.
Not really.
I always do.
No.
I don't condone this unless you're 21 and over. But I always do a shot and a beer. That's always my shot before the show and a beer on stage. You're good. I feel like that helps calm the nerves.
The rest of you just wake up performance.
Pretty
performers.
much. Yeah.
They're just much better than me. I don't.
No, it's we just haven't really had anything consistent, I don't think, as a group, but
Yeah, I guess we don't have like a set ritual, but we've kind of gotten into a routine. We're always kind of hanging out, just getting kind of prepped together, but then also for me, and y'all probably do it too, but kind of just get in the zone in your own head as well.
Especially though, the ritual for the Raleigh shows, though, for me is usually like trying to find parking for my car after unloading, especially if it's earlier in a weekday for some reason. And like I live downtown, so like sometimes it's like close enough to get to my house. So I guess you would say the part of the ritual for me is like walking back and forth from like the venue to wherever I park my car. So getting some steps in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, before we close off, we are going to be playing for you guys one more song by Good Deal, which is currently unreleased and will be coming out with their EP release this Friday, the 19th. Do you guys want to tell us a little bit more about this project?
The EP as a whole?
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially it's just us taking a first stab at writing songs and playing them together. for the most part.
And most of these are like our first batch of songs that we wrote. I mean, 3 of them were some of the ones that Cliff and I wrote like initially before we even had Miller and William on board as well. So it's kind of like the start to us being able to have music out and the close on kind of the first chunk of what Good Deal is, I think.
Yeah.
The close on that chapter.
For sure. I think like stylistically each song kind of leans on a particular like subgenre of rock and country, and I think it still though has a sort of cohesiveness to it in a way that I think is pretty cool.
I would also say too, like our new stuff kind of doesn't even sound like, you know, it's like a culmination of everything now. It's like we've kind of found an avenue to start doing our own genre of music. It kind of feels like, or
Right.
like our own style, I would say, style choices of,
Right.
you know, how we play a certain thing, or coming to the table with this sound is, I think it's different than the EP. But also shout out Mark at the Echo Lounge. Love you, Mark. He was the one we recorded with.
Mark Cusio from Ghost Blonde, if anybody remembers them. It's been a while. They haven't really done too much lately, so I just want to, you know.
Yeah, they did have a show early this year. But yeah,
It's like the 10-year release.
Yeah, it was
the
like
album.
10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But yeah, he recorded and mixed most of the songs on the EP and really did a great job working with us. We were super appreciative
Very generous.
of him. Yeah.
Very, very patient.
He's a wonderful friend, and
Yeah.
So, what should our listeners expect at your show this Saturday?
they should expect some new songs. A lot of stuff that we don't have out or isn't available anywhere yet. A couple guest surprises, and just a great show, great performance.
Yeah, as Miller likes to say on social media when he's promoting stuff for us sometimes, a rootin' tune good time.
I
I
say
think.
that.
Yeah.
That's canon. I've said that before.
It is. Yeah. So you could expect that.
A rootin' tootin' good time.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
You have a couple
Ah,
times.
yeah, obviously.
Good times, good vibes, and good deal.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun.
Why don't you tell them where they can look for more information on this?
We're very active on Instagram for anybody who's curious and finding out more information about us, what we're doing, keeping up with us. Our Instagram's gooddeal_band. Stay pretty active on there. So
Thanks to Andrew. I don't go near the social media. Try not to. I'm afraid he'd yell at me.
He does yell a lot.
He does.
never yell at you guys.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys wanted to mention before we close off?
I think just thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, this is super
Alright.
fun.
Yeah,
It really was.
great.
Thank you guys for coming in and talking to me today.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure to meet you all.
Yeah.
You as well.
You too.
I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and you can check out the interviews I do with other local artists at wknc.org/podcasts by clicking on Off the Record. I'm DJ Lucid, this is Off the Record, and you were just listening to Good Deal on WKNC 88.1 FM HD1 Raleigh. I'm going to send y'all off with one more song by our friends called Circles, which is currently unreleased, but will be out on January 19th, so make sure to tune in. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
Fetching a reaction. I want one too. Going down the slide, situated in the time of my life, irrelevant to you. Is that even Could I take away this checkered flag so we could just cruise around the tracks under the lights? I want the simple life. It's how you take away the fun just for us, but not everyone. My heart sinks to the bottom of the you said I would go crazy. My head was spinning a circle lately, and I reflect